Okay, hi everyone. I've heard there's been some issues with HEC-RAS, so I'm just going to be kind of giving a general overview of how to import everything and generally what we'll be doing for the actual project. So first off, we'll need to download everything. So we'll need to go into the HEC-RAS folder. You'll download the zip file. I've already downloaded everything to make it go a little faster. And then you also need to download this terrain. It's going to be in the LiDAR folder. It's going to be specifically this one. It should be a .tiff file. And then we're going to have to go out of Canvas into this website. I'll reference the link in the description or something. It's to be Central Utah, and it should be downloading that .prj file. Again, I've already downloaded everything, so we're all good to go. So I'm just going to open up HEC-RAS, and then go to Open Project, and then just wherever you extracted that zip file to. I should have it in School Test Parleys. And it should be Parleys 2021 Hydraulics Simulations. Cool. Okay, so now that we have this, we can go into our RAS mapper, which is this one. Let me pull it over here. You can turn on geometries, Parleys Creek, and then expand that and just, oh, I did not want to do that. And just open everything so you can take a good look at everything. So now we need to go to Project, Set Projection. We'll go to Open this. And then wherever you put that projection file. So I have it currently with all my other stuff. It's a little easier if you have it in the uh, project area, just so it's if you're sharing with somebody. But if you're not sharing with anybody, you should honestly be just fine. So we'll go here, click that. It should say exactly this. If it doesn't, I would re-download it, or you can message me. We'll figure something out. Apply, okay. And now we will add in our terrain. Sorry if you can hear my cat. Create new terrain, and then wherever you downloaded that LiDAR data, I should have it a little out. There it is. For whatever reason, it is a .tiff file 2Fs, which this is not looking for, so you need to go and change that. And then just create. That'll download for a second. And while it's downloading, I can just say, like, HEC-RAS is a very free software, so it honestly doesn't work 100% of the time, so don't be upset if it's not working. Sometimes that is not even your own fault. Okay, so that has finished downloading, so you can just close that out, and you will see now that we have terrain over this. So I want to actually go on to map layers, and we're going to add web imagery. You can do any one you choose. This is just to make sure that this is all correct. So you can see we have um, our road here with that culvert, another road here with that culvert. So we're like, that looks right to us. So we can call that good. But it's not necessary to open that. I just do that to make sure, at least for this project. Um, so we can close that out. And then now let's go back to our main instance of HEC-RAS, wherever that just went. Okay. And we're going to edit, and we're going to go to steady flow data. So a couple things here. We have the reach boundary conditions, which I think she asked for in our report. So that's going to be that normal depth. That's the slope, which I don't really advise us changing right now, since that's probably accurate for where they wanted it to. But if you wanted to, you would go to that measuring tool and just go along here, or just wherever you want it to be, and that would be your slope right there. But we're not going to change that right now, but that's just if you needed to. So we'll just press OK on that, and then I really wish it would all go away. There we go. So now we are looking for the 100-year, the 10-year, and the 2-year. So we need to add another profile. And so now we can rename those with options, edit profile names. I go 10-year, let's say 2-year. And so the original floodway is, and you'll be able to see it soon, but it is going to be your like deepest and most high velocity point in your like 100-year floodplain, which we're not modeling for in this case right now, since that is kind of out of the scope. But in an actual project, you would be modeling that. It's just going to be setting encroachments on your 100-year essentially. Um, but because we're changing our 100-year, our floodway to be the 10-year, we're gonna actually have to get rid of those encroachments, which isn't very hard. But let's change these to be the appropriate flow. So it should be like 445. This is what my project or what my team did, so I'm just kind of pulling that from that. So if you had others, you're totally fine. Let's see, 284 type, and then our 2-year was 158. Cool. So we're gonna press apply data, and then we can close out of this. So now we can actually run this. Let's go. There's actually two ways to get to it. So you can either go run steady flow analysis, or you can go to this little guy here. Um, we're just gonna press compute. It'll pull this up. That's just how it runs. There we go. Okay. You're right. I keep forgetting to save. Hold on. I should probably have advised you to do this, but you should always save before you leave, and that's just gonna be here and save. It didn't really remove anything. All I have to do is add an existing, which I guess is probably good if I didn't do that. So it's gonna reopen to exactly where you had it. You're gonna open terrain, and that's just gonna reopen it exactly. And then we're gonna expand these all again. The projection file is off. Obviously, it's still working, but we're just gonna real quick do that again. Yeah, so if you don't save, this is what happens sometimes. So yeah, make sure you file, save. I always forget that apparently. That's been like multiple times that has happened. Okay, so now, but our results should have stayed. Um, so there are two. We have the floodplain, which has a bunch of different results, which we're not currently editing. So honestly, we're just gonna make sure that's small. We're gonna be editing. We're currently editing the floodway for our existing. So we have the depth that we can look at. That's the 100-year. The 10-year we put in, and the 2-year. So you can see that the 10-year has this like weird thing. That's not how it actually should look. So we are actually going to go to our analysis. It's going to be options, encroachments. It's going to pull this up, and you're just going to clear all profiles. Yes, okay. And then we're going to recompute this, and it should be fixed. So let's pull that back up, and then perfect. So that is actually our 10-year. There's other ways you can do that without having to do that. You can just delete that column, but this is also the way. So yeah, now we have our 100-year, 10-year, 2-year. For the project, we are looking for the 100-year, like no rise in that. So that's going to be our main focus. So let's see. A few other notes while we're here. So you can double click this. You can update the legend with view, so it's just like it'll be a little easier to see when you get zoom in or something. That like okay, in this reach, this white gray part is kind of our highest point, and our green points are our lowest points. And that's just gonna update as you zoom in. You can add contours if you so please. That'll just make it a little easier to see the like elevation changes. Not necessary, but nice to see. Um, so let's do this too. You can also do that with depth and stuff. Contours, update legend with view, and you can do that with all these. So you have depth, velocity, and our water surface elevation. So honestly, this one I probably would update legend with view since that is not changing. Okay. Um, let's see. I want to, yeah, we can also go into like cross sections and stuff. Same thing, we're actually going to label this with our river stationing to make it easier to find that. So now all of our cross sections have like what they're essentially named. And so let's now see what our results ended up being. So let's close this. So after you run it, you can go to this table to see your output data. Let's expand that. And so this is showing the 100-year and 10-year. You can change that going options, profiles. We are just going to focus on the 100-year. So then we have all this data. We only really need, I believe, 3 things from this. So we're just going to clear that. Let's go to water surface elevation. And then it's depth, I believe. Yeah, hydraulic depth. And then I believe it's also, okay, if I could type velocity. So velocity of channel. So that's, I think, what we are really looking at for our project. Yeah, so that's usually what you're going to screenshot. So let's just say, let's go back here. Let's just say, okay, we wanted to look at 6424. Say that was like part of our reach. So 6424 is right there. So like if this was all your reach, you just find those exact cross sections and take a screenshot of that instead of sending out all. Oh my goodness, my kitty. Okay. So let's see. Another thing with the table, if you leave it open and you rerun it, you will have to press reload data. But if you close it, reopen it, it should reload automatically. Um, let's see. So this is our existing. That is all you need for existing. You have all the structures, you have your cross-section stuff. So some other tables we can look at are like this one. That's just going to be kind of more of our cross-sections showing the bridges and stuff as well and culverts. So that was that one. And then we can also look at our profiles, which is good. So this one, like these are essentially being your river stationing. So you're going to be, say, for like 5,000 to 6,000, like that would be your reach is right here. So you'll take screenshots of there. I don't think there's many more other tables you'll need. We'll kind of look at more other ones when we start editing stuff. So now so this is our existing. So let's add a new geometry. And we're going to call, actually, I don't want to do it that way. We want to essentially copy this one. So we're going to save geometry as, and we're just going to propose whatever you want to call it. That's easier for you to see. And that is going to make a whole nother one. And we can reopen all these for the propose. It should have just copied everything over. And this will be good if something goes wrong with your proposed, you can just immediately reopen this without having to like fully do everything again. So yeah, proposed, and that's gonna all be the same things. We will have to change some things now. So let's see, when we do the run, I believe, yeah, we'll need to make a new plan. So yes, and then now we need to make a new plan. We'll just call it proposed again. And then that's gonna say yes, and then you can, whatever you want for your small ID or your short ID, whatever it's called. Let's see, I think we can run this now. Yeah, so that has run for your proposed. So that should actually, yeah, there we go. So now we have the proposed. And so we can look at that depth. And right now, it's all going to be the same, but for future use, we can go into the flood widths, expand that, go into the depth, and we can put this as a watch layer. And we can get rid of that. We don't have to actually look at it anymore. But now when we are selected on this is our proposed, it will tell us the 1.43 at the top is the proposed one, and then the depth, the D is the 1.43 is our existing. So that's like an easy way to just do a general check to see if they're super different, but obviously right now they're gonna be the same. So let's go about adding a cross section. So yeah, we're gonna just press edit. So you can either flip between these two or you can press tab. So this one I'm currently on is on edit. If we press tab, we are on creating a new one. So let's just say we want to add another cross section here. We're just gonna throw one in, but say I didn't like how it looked. We'll press tab. Okay, I didn't really want to add another vertice, but okay, we can do it like that. Um, and then let's go in and let's just make sure we update it. Any new ones should just be automatically on that new terrain, but if you edit them at all, you do want to make sure you update them so their terrain will update. Don't update the river stationing. That's going to change all of these names essentially, and we have structures that are associated to very specific uh, cross sections that we don't really want to change their names because it gets really confused and it doesn't understand when it changes the name that it's fully different. So it's a little frustrating, but that's okay. My cat is trying to eat plastic right now, so I apologize if there's rummaging. Okay, so we just added that one, so that's all we really want to do. So let's press save. That's just telling you all the structures and stuff that have changed because of it. I don't really know why ours is so touchy. Okay, my cat is really trying to get into this plastic right now. Okay, so now let's go on to our main menu again. So we're going to go onto our geometry editor. Because this is a different geometry, essentially, we need to open. So right, currently we're on the existing, and so let's open the proposed. And then now let's go to our tables. We're going to edit our Mannings. And so this is all of our Mannings, and I'll kind of show you a better view of that in a second, but let's go change ours. So the green ones are all the channel Mannings. Oh my goodness, my cat is getting into it. Okay. I have already changed the Mannings for this actually, but let's go see what our number 6503. So 6503, so I just changed it to the 0.035 just as a guesstimate. You'll want to make that into your like survey data Mannings, and all of these will be, well, let's just show you actually. So we're going to go cross sections. So these are all those Mannings that you're seeing. So that 0.035 for most of those channels is that channel Mannings. And then this is just kind of for the surrounding area that you can edit to your heart's content. So now let's go find ours again, 6503. Oh my gosh, okay. So our survey definitely does not look like this. We were not that exact. Oh my goodness. So we are going to just delete all this essentially, and we're just going to put in what we assume ours was, and I'm just going to give a random one. Definitely, I don't want to pull any up, but we're just going to assume that this was our uh, survey data, let's say. So I'm just going to give it a guess of just, let's say like 4423. I'm still going to try to make it the same elevations, and you'll want to kind of edit your survey data to match up with the surrounding cross sections of like the elevations so they're not like crazy different. And maybe even your stationings as well, so it can kind of line up with this, but it does not have like my team has honestly kind of deleted most of our cross sections in it because it was just not not good. Let's see. So I'm just gonna kind of give this one as a 4-1. Okay. We're just giving them all guesstimates. Cool. Okay. So we're just gonna press apply. So this gray line is our actual terrain, but that's ours. So let's go here, and we need to change these little red dots. Those are our like bank points, and we're just gonna put them right there. That's kind of where we all set our banks, or maybe it's like here, but um, that is necessary, otherwise it won't want to run. So we'll edit that. That should be the only thing we need to run it. So let's go ahead. Oh, my cat. Yes, it does. Why are you not? Okay. uh, is it just that I opened like 2 or something? Yeah. Okay. We're just gonna name that prop. Why are you being weird? Okay. Okay. Sure. That's fine. So we'll just run that. And let's see. Because the survey is way weirder right now, it should have actually come out a bit. Yeah, so you can see I'm gonna make this a little transparent real quick. Yeah, so you can see that ours comes out way farther because of that really weird cross section. Um, and that's fine. We will edit our cross sections and we'll figure it out, but currently I'm not gonna figure out the exact survey that needs to be done for that. Okay, so that is just generally adding in cross sections. I understand there's been a lot of weird uh like a lot of, especially with like structures that they start to break for some reason. I've definitely seen it. I was kind of hoping that error would pop up with this. I'm going to make this, let's see, that's it. I don't want to plot the width, so it's a little easier to see. Um, and I think it's mostly these two or three downstream structures that just become really weird for some reason when we add cross sections in. So we can edit those. I'll be honest, my team definitely deleted some of these like really low ones that weren't even in our terrain because they're not going to really impact us. But this one, probably not want to delete that. That will actually impact us. So let me just go into this. So we can look at the structures. And I think for the most part, the error that people are getting, we're going to go to bridge culvert. I think that one is like 4273. But we can check that. So let's see. We're going to press, yes, that one is 4273. So this one is a culvert, I believe, but we can go here. And so this is going to be editing all those points. So let's see, all this gray points, like they probably have a point here, definitely a point here. So you can see like station 0, that's a point there. Station 605, that's a point there. And station 318, there's definitely like there's a point there. So those are 3 points that make that up. The culvert is a different thing. I'll show you that in a second. But you're gonna see this distance. Usually it will say that like structure X has a negative distance. You can just go in, you can choose a number and it will based on that. So if you press like, say for this one you gave it like 50, it's gonna move like like this line is gonna be what shifts. So you can try to just center it, or you can go back to your existing and find that distance and just type that in. So like for this case, if this said it was like negative 118, I would just change it back to 22. Um, and then if you're working on the bridges or anything, you're gonna just edit that road deckways to extend or anything like that. And then if you're doing a culvert, um, this is just all of that. I'm not sure if anybody is doing an actual culvert, so I'm not going to go too into depth on it, but this is just kind of deciding what it is. There's a lot of like all these question marks are going to help you decide on these. It's like if it's one barrel, you're going to do like that's your upstream station. So that's like, say if it's on this cross section, it's like, okay, that was at like, I don't have my ticks on here, but yeah, I don't think anybody's focused on that. But if anybody has actual questions on that, let me know and I can go further into depth on that. Let's go look at a actual bridge. That's a culvert. I think this is a bridge. Yeah. So for this one, you are using that low chord. So again, you have all these points that are up here, like 1, 2, like all these are points. And then now you have low chords that are these. And that is essentially just a point there and a point there. That's all it is. So just your openings of the bridge essentially. You can add piers and stuff. Again, I don't think many people are focused on that, so we're not going to focus on that either. Uh, and then just an easy way to get to your cross sections if you want to edit those, you can just cancel that. But yeah, so that's kind of a very general bridge and culvert stuff. So if you have any errors with that, you can fix that. And sometimes the easiest way to fix a like cross-section error is just to like edit it, pick up the vertex and just move it like not even an inch, just move it a tiny bit. Sometimes it just needs to reassociate the terrain. It's kind of weird. So that's kind of a very general bridge culverts and cross sections. So let's look also if you're moving the channel. So we were moving the channel. So we were doing a cut and fill. So you can go into your terrain. You can add a new modification there, go to lines, and this is going to be like high ground, your channel. The channel's what we did, so I'm just going to name it proposed. Let's see, so that's creating a new line. So let's just say we wanted, I mean, I think technically this is what we did, but we did it definitely a little nicer, but we wanted to smooth this line, like this stream. I'm just going to do it in like 2 points, but you can definitely just click around and make that a little smoother. Let's just say we wanted to make that really straight. And let's say we want the bottom width to be like 30 feet. We want the top width to be, let's say 120. And then this is going to be your slopes. Both sides can be different. And let's see. Yeah, that's kind of the basic points. And it's like station elevation. You can, but usually it just goes from like whatever elevation that it sees. And then let me actually get rid of that. So now you can see there's a big cut through it. You can definitely play around with it, make it look nicer. You can also fill things in. But after we make that kind of edit, we do want to make sure let me also save that actually. We do want to make sure that we adjust the river, like the actual reach. So you're just going to go in here. Again, I made it a really straight thing so I can make myself easier. So I'm just going to essentially get rid of all those points. This is definitely not what we'd actually want to do, but I'm making my life easier right now. So, but that would make that line like really straight, and that will affect your run. So we're just going to save that and and that also affects your cross sections as well, which I'll have to update those usually. So we're just gonna, let me zoom out a little bit and turn my depth back on. Okay, and then we're just gonna rerun that. Yeah, that's what I thought. So, oh hey, we actually got those. Okay, so 4273 and 1644. So that's gonna be those errors I was just talking about. So let's go back here. That is not what I wanted. Oh yeah, inline structures, those are just the drop structures. So, but you can essentially just delete that out of your model if you're one of the teams deleting those. So bridge culvert, we had 4273. So yeah, now it just changes. It changes so much for no reason. I don't really understand why. So we know that that was just 22. So we're just gonna press OK on that. And then our other one was 1644. Yeah, that's fun. Okay, I'm just gonna guesstimate that that was probably like 20 feet or something. I don't know. That was our really downstream one, so honestly, you could also just delete it. Maybe I will actually do that just to show. That was 1644. Oh, my cat. Let's just delete that one just for the sake of it. Let's see. I don't really want those to be fully expanded. There we go. Okay, let's just delete 1644. I believe, yeah, so you can just go in, delete, yes, and then you're done. So now that we've got those fixed, that should run. There might be another issue though. Okay, cool. So we can reopen. I realize I only opened the floodway, not this one. So, but you can see it's changed a little bit. Okay, so you will want to go in and update your cross sections for this, like where you made that big cut. So let's just say, let's just make sure we update. I'll just update like one for right now. But you'll want to update all the ones that were affected there. You're just going to do the elevation profiles from terrain, and then you're just going to save that. And then we will pull this back over. Let's go to geometry editor. I'm working in more screens now, so there's more places you can go. Let's see, cross section. And that was, which one was that? 6250. So let's actually go see it that way. Let's see, 6250. Cool. Yeah, so you can see that's our big cut right there. I did already go in and change the banks here. They do usually like to jump around, but this, so that's our 2-year, 10-year, and then 100-year. you usually want your banks to be kind of lined with your 10-year, and so we can edit this as we go. So I'm actually going to move that out of the way. And you'll want to do this a bit smoother than what I'm going to do right now, but we're just going to like say right click, delete objects, and like I would probably just smooth this out a bit by either moving objects, probably add a couple station points, and then just kind of move those as you see fit. Loop, okay, yeah. I'm gonna add one next show up both of our 10 years, and I'll just move this guy so it's not super weird. Come here. Um, and then let's move our bank stations to be on that 10-year. Perfect. And you'll want to go through, again, you'll have to update all the surrounding cross sections to actually have them update. And then you'll just kind of smooth it out, make it look good. Like this is pretty steep, so even like changing what your cut was would not be a bad idea. Um, yeah, so you'll just go through like that one wasn't affected, but this one was, and that one may be a little affected. So you just go through, make sure you update all those with their terrain, and then just edit that in the cross-section editor on Geometry Editor. Make sure you move the bank stations so they're kind of on your 10-year. Um, and then you also need to move, this is your ineffectives. You can probably honestly delete most of those, but that's just saying anything like if it's over on this right side of this of the bank stations, everything to the right of this would be ineffective. So if there's still flow over here, that'd be ineffective, or vice versa. If I put this on the left side of this, okay, that's not how that should work, but usually if you, I guess I would have to add another one. That's probably more of a right bank station, but you can add more. And so anything to the left of this bank station would be ineffective. Neither of these are really impacted currently. Um, hello. I think, yeah, that's right. Okay, you have to click on those. You can't select them. Nothing here is really ineffective, so you could probably honestly delete that and you'd be just fine. But if you saw like water pooling over here, you could set an ineffective on the left side just to have that not count towards your run essentially. Yeah, so that is very general overview of things. Okay, I showed the watch layer, so that's actually going to be a little easier to see now. So if you click that here, we can see that because of our really weird survey cross-section, ours is at 6.67 and the original was 4.3. So we've had a very large rise. Um, let's see, I'm trying to think if there is anything else. Okay, yeah. For people doing structures or like kind of close to structures, it would be good to go to this one here, the one right next to RAS Mapper. That's going to be looking directly at your cross sections, and you can see exactly where you have bridges. This is just going to show you where you have like overtopping. So like 100 year, this is the 100 year here, that's 10 year. You do have this overtopping here that, I mean, I think we've already discussed that the whole place is a floodplain, so I think they have already designed for these roads to overtop, but you know, I mean, if your design does not overtop, then oh well. But yeah, it's just a good way to look at the like structures along with this. But yeah, I think that is kind of all of the main things that I can show you. Now we have study flow. I don't think there's any other big parts that you guys will need. I guess let's go back to the table. This should be now, yeah, this is the proposed design. So I would kind of flip between and like grab, you'd have to go back into all your defined tables and stuff. Okay, not what I wanted to do. It might be easier though to go and find like your depth, water surface elevation, and velocity, copy and paste all of that into an Excel sheet, and then subtract like the proposed from the existing and just see if there's a rise in that. And if there is, then you'll have to go back to editing your reach. I think a big thing is just trying to make your survey cross sections. I mean, don't erase all the data, but just be like, okay, well, they had their terrain is 5 feet below us. Let's subtract 5 to all of our cross-section elevations, or let's try to make it match up with the original terrain so that we're on the same thing like this. You don't need to have your cross sections as big as I made mine. I just made it bigger just so it looks neat. And even if, I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea to input your data that you have for your survey data and then just use the terrain data for, say, our reach ended here or our survey reach ended here, and then just using the terrain data for all of this, just so it looks a little neater and that this can still be used as a good like place for water to go. Um, I think it'd make it look neater, but that's just a thought. But yeah, so if you have any errors, sometimes the best way to do this is just to click around and play around with it. But if you have questions, I try to be in class every time, so or you can email me or text me. Anything's fine. Um, yeah, hopefully this will help. Sorry it's so long. And hopefully it's not like super crazy messy. But hopefully you guys will be able to make a working model. I know it's a really annoying modeling software. It's again free. I work with it every day, and every day I curse at it a little bit more. Yeah, okay. Good luck, everybody. Hopefully, all goes well.